What's going on, everybody? This is Kevin Barber, and you're sitting at the barber's table. Today we're going to be doing a mid fade. It's really my go-to. If anybody asks for a fade, like basically they don't know what they want, like let me just get a fade. This is the fade that I do. No, I'm not in barber school, and yes, I plan on getting my barber's license. I'm working to do that. Some of my revenue comes from YouTube and also with this clothing line that I'm dropping. So if you really like this channel, you want to support, you want to see me go through barber school and vlog the experience, make sure you hit that link in the description below. It's a campaign. So the days you see when you go to the site is the amount of days it will take for the third party to create the stuff and send it. Right when you purchase it is not right when you get it. You get it after the campaign is finished. Make sure you subscribe, like, and comment. But anyway, let's get right into this video. First things first, of course, you gotta make sure your canvas is clean and comb down the hair so you can cut properly. My clipper is zero gapped and closed. Make sure you hold down that ear so you don't cut anybody. I consider clippers to be electronic scissors, so you got to make sure you're working with some sharp stuff. Make sure it's flush to the head just like that, and clean up them necks, because if people forget the necks, you got frilly hairs on the side. And I definitely dropped the ball on this side. The focus is not really tacked. It's extremely blurry for me. So the other side I do better, so I'm not going to talk on this part. Skip to 125 if you don't want to just hear music and fast cutting.
When I make music, it's like energy. Gave you my love. Still you took yours away. Why did you take away your love? Oh, when I was here to stay. Oh, you know what? Fuck it, I'll play my damn self.
Welcome back to those who skipped, and for those who watched through, y'all are the realest. So first thing I'm gonna do is the guideline. Of course, you guys have seen this a million times. Go up about an inch or so. Like I said, I don't care about the distances because it's about the shape of the head. That's all it's about. So I'm turning around here, just making sure that my fade, if you can tell, it curves slightly, and I usually use the top of the head and curve it with that. If you look at the top of the head, you can see a curve. So just shape it to that. That's what I reference all the time. Now I just switch to my zero guard open. I just open that joint all the way. These are the double magnetic guards, the best guards ever. If you've seen one magnetic guards, don't get them. They're extremely trash. The number one trash guard is wall. Then what's next is the one magnetic and its guard. So stay away from those. Now I'm using my one. You can clearly see that I'm using the corner of the blade. I'm trying to go kind of close to the bridge of the head and flicking out. I don't want to go too high because I don't want it to be too close or look weird. So what happens is I use my free hand with the edgers to do that. So I close my guard right now. This is the one still, to lay down the hairs, and it makes it give a nice finished look. I do this a few times throughout the haircut just to, I don't know, it's something I do just to make myself feel better. But you can always do this at the end of your cut. It doesn't have to happen as frequently as I do it. So now I'm closing it. A good way to keep track of what you're doing is whatever the line you created before, you put the guard on top of that. So what I'm doing right now, I'm putting the guard on top of the line that I made with the zero. I'm going above from there. You can always come from the bottom like that. It wouldn't be cutting anything. It's just showing you like visually where you were. If you can still see that line with the zero guard that I made, just cutting above that. I usually go over and over and go below just to make sure everything's even. So that's currently what I'm doing. Everything doesn't cut evenly, especially with these ostrich fast feeds. They're not Andis masters, so you got to make sure that you're cutting everything evenly. Now I'm using the zero guard halfway. I go over and over again, like I said, because these are not extremely powerful clippers. They fade slowly. Since they fade slowly, you got to take your time, or you got to go over a lot. You'll see a few speed ups because my hand is covering the clipper, and I hate when you guys can't see the blade and where the blade is positioned. So it's literally right there. So then I close the zero guard, and then you can still see a faint line. So what I'm gonna do next is use my no guard so that I can fade it out. It's definitely a good technique to completely use the corner of your blade, and you'll be fine. Like, it's literally like one of the best tricks ever. You can't really cut too much off. You're cutting a little bit at a time, and using that with a clipper that's not that powerful is like perfect, because it's almost like you're using an eraser. I don't know if any of you guys draw at all, or if you try and fade or try and make a shadow or something behind a person. This is what I'd liken it to, using an eraser or something of the sort, just to smudge it, you know what I mean? Not to take off too much, but you're doing a decent job at the same time. And if you just saw, I used the half and put it on top of the zero line that I created. Now I can see that line clearly, and I'm taking it out with the closed Oster fast feed. All this takes persistence and reps. Every single one of you guys watching this video can do this fade. There's nobody who, I don't believe there's anybody who cannot fade. If you're watching this video, kudos to you for taking this thing seriously and watching videos up to 10 minutes long. You guys are definitely dedicated, and I definitely like that. See, now I'm just fading out the corner. Just to make sure that I can keep that dark line, but it's not too harsh. I usually start in the middle. That's definitely the best place to start, but here I started on the side. It's, you know, when you do something for a long time, you just get used to it. So what I usually do is I pick one side that I want everything to look like, and then I liken it to that side. So if you're looking at this, the left side of, like, your left is the corner that I want it to look like. So if you look, it's kind of slanted on your right side, not his, your right side. So you see it's up on that left side where the blade isn't. So it's a little up, and I'm like, okay, I gotta push it slightly so I can get that corner. The corner needs to look crisp. I know a lot of people talk about, it can be Chris Bossio, it can be E. Jones, it could be anybody. At the end of the cut, somebody's gonna talk about how that lineup ain't crisp, how it's not sharp or symmetrical. Everybody has something. It's slightly to the right, it's slightly to the left. Nobody's head is perfectly symmetrical. You do the best of what you can. So now I'm just taking out the front of the hair, kind of trimming it so that it can pop. Now I'm doing the corners. Make sure you come on top of it, then you go you slide towards it, then you cut on top of it to pull back to make it sharp. That's how I do it. It's worked for me. Use the corner of the blade if you want to curve anything. The blade is straight, so you go on top of things or straight head on to things if you want it to be straight. If you want it to be curved, you have to use the corner and draw it like a pencil. Use your wrist to be the point of your cuts. You know, like a protractor, your wrist is like the middle of a protractor, and your hands would be the end. So if you think of it that way, you can have a very symmetrical curve, very symmetrical shape, and that's the way I think about it. It's really helped me out. Now I'm using the blade. Make sure you stretch the skin. This is all pretty simple. Keep the blade flat or slightly up. I don't keep it completely flat. Of course, you want to be cutting anything. You want to keep it slightly up, kind of like a little below 45 degrees. And you got to go on top of them, come down like with the grain, so that it trims down and you go against the grain. So it's not too harsh of a cut if you're not using any gel like Tomb 45 or any like store-bought gel or anything like that, or Elegance. This makes for a very clean cut. This is a way everybody should learn how to use their blade. I'm not perfect at this, but it really makes you see what you're doing instead of having to turn and curve like this all the time. It's really awkward. Your arm can hurt, and it's just not the best way. You want to make sure you're doing things the best way you possibly can in order for the best results. This is talc powder. Use this to take off the oily hair that's stuck to the skin. Now here I'm showing you, you gotta make sure the neck is completely clean and make sure we can all focus on the head. If it's not there, and I'm just going over making sure, this is my my cleanup time. After you go through your process, you gotta make sure you clean up. But you know, if you see like a little shadow of hair on the side of somebody's face, if you take that off and make sure everything looks extremely crisp. Now this is the finished product after everything's done. The fade is complete. This is how I like them, nice and natural. Nothing wrong with dyes or anything. If you look at that corner, it's not sharp. I was like, oh crap, I need to fix that. So I took out my GTX and used the corner of the blade. Sometimes this will happen. You can be cleaning up, you're finished, like look, I'm done. But then while you're cleaning up, you can see something that is not sharp, and this is literally that. So I just attacked that real quick, and there we go. Make sure you subscribe, like, and comment. Thanks for sitting at the barber's table. See you guys in the next video.